International Contest. Please join me in wishing each speaker the best of luck. I now turn the virtual lectern over to tonight's International Speech Contest Master, Marianne Grady.
Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the big show. We are so excited to be presenting the International Speech Contest tonight. I am ready to be inspired and entertained, and I hope you are too. But before we get started, I'm going to give an overview of the International Speech Contest procedures. And this is for the benefit of our guests and newer members. In this contest, we will hear an original international speech from each contestant. The purpose of the International Speech Contest is to provide an opportunity for speakers to improve their speaking abilities and to provide an opportunity for all Toastmasters to learn by observing speakers who have benefited from their Toastmaster training. There will be 1 minute of silence after each contestant for the judges to mark their ballots. After the final contestant, I will ask for silence until the judges are finished ranking the contestants and submitting their ballots to the ballot counters. Video must capture facial expressions and gestures, and voice must be clearly captured by their microphones. To eliminate any perception of bias, I will introduce each contestant in the same way. Contestant number, name, speech title, name. The speaking order has been chosen randomly with an online randomizer tool, and this was done with all speakers present. I'll announce the order now. You may want to mark it down with the contestant numbers. The first speaker will be Jerry Stevens. The second speaker will be Roseanne Hamilton. The third speaker, Milhana Anver. The fourth speaker, Deborah Hennig. The fifth speaker, Chad Welch. The sixth speaker, Jacinta Fontanelle. And the final speaker, number 7, will be Herman Norona. I'm going to repeat the order, but I'll go a little faster this time. Jerry Stevens is the first speaker. Second, Roseanne Hamilton. Third, Milhana Anver. Fourth, Deborah Hennig. Fifth, Chad Welch. Sixth, Jacinta Fontanelle. And seventh, Herman Norona. I've confirmed that all contestants are eligible to compete. Timers, will you please read the timing rules for the International Speech Contest?
International speeches shall be from 5 to 7 minutes. The contestant will be disqualified if the speech is less than 4 minutes, 30 seconds, or more than 7 minutes, 30 seconds. A green signal will be displayed at 5 minutes and remain displayed for 1 minute. A yellow signal will be displayed at 6 minutes and remain displayed for 1 minute. A red signal will be displayed at 7 minutes and will remain on until the conclusion of the speech. Thank you.
Other rules that you should be aware of. The subject of the international speech is selected by the contestant. The speaker shall avoid potentially objectionable language, anecdotes, and material. The speech must be thematic in nature, with an opening, body, and close rather than a monologue or a series of one-liners. All speeches are to be substantially original. Any quoted materials must be so identified during the speech presentation. Contestants will set up any props or visual aids in the 1 minute of silence before their introduction. Upon being introduced, the contestant will proceed immediately to their speaking position as decided during the contestants' briefing. We are not announcing the results this evening, but on Saturday at the conference. After all speakers have completed their presentations, the contest chair will announce if any time disqualifications have occurred, but not name the contestant or contestants involved. Protests based on eligibility, originality, or reference to another contestant's speech must be entered by the contestants or voting judges to either the chief judge or contest chair before the results are announced. Once results have been announced, all decisions are final. Chief Judge, have all the judges, timers, and ballot counters been briefed?
Madam Contest Master, the judges, timers, and ballot counters have all been briefed. Let the contest begin.
Now, for what we've all been waiting for, the International Speech Contest for District 18. Our first speaker is contestant number 1, Jerry Stevens. Jerry, please unmute yourself and spell your first name to check audio and video.
Jerry, Gerry.
Thank you, Jerry. Can you please pin the timer? And judges, please pin the contestant. Contestant 1, Jerry Stevens, with his speech, Building Resilience. Building Resilience, Jerry Stevens.
Think of a time when you failed. Make it a recent failure. If you can't think of anything, might it be possible that your fear of failure holds you back from truly challenging yourself? When I look back at my life, I see many paths not taken because of my own fear of failure. I can still remember that feeling of fear viscerally, like a deep emptiness in my stomach. A fairly well-known story about grit helped me change the way I react to failure. It's a story about a girl named Sarah. When Sarah was a child, like many of us, she played it safe. She rarely put herself in a position where she might fail. Her father took notice. And wanting more for her, he started asking, "Little Sarah, what did you fail at this week?" Week after week, Sarah said nothing. When she didn't do so well on an exam, her father took that opportunity to celebrate her failure. They celebrated as much, if not more, than had she gotten a perfect score. Sarah began to build resilience. Her personal fortitude became such a strong foundation that failure could no longer knock her down. When she was a young adult, she tried to sell an idea she had to the garment industry. They weren't buying it, but that didn't stop Sarah. If Sarah couldn't sell her idea, she was going to make it. Starting her company was hard. It was a 2-year journey of constant rejection and, yes, failure. But Sarah's resilience would power her through and on to great things. Who is Sarah? Sarah Blakely is the CEO and founder of Spanx, and consequently, one of the wealthiest women in the world. Sarah's story encouraged me to celebrate my son Evan's failures. When he was 5, we launched our first cluster rocket at a National Association of Rocketry event. There, an announcer counted down each launch. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Our rocket left the launch pad, all 3 engines firing in perfect unison. It reached an altitude of about 60 feet when the side engines expired. At that point, they were supposed to jettison, but that didn't happen. Instead, the rocket became unstable and drove itself into the ground. I thought Evan was okay as we walked up and we picked up the pieces. But as we headed back to the staging area, Evan stopped. Dad, is it broken forever? I don't know. We might be able to fix it. If not, we can certainly rebuild it. Either way, it'll be better than it's ever been. In the ensuing weeks, we rebuilt the rocket and we had a great time doing it. And periodically, just to reinforce that lesson and to rob failure of its power over us, I would turn to Evan. Hey, Evan, did we fail? And he'd skip jump and say, yeah, Daddy, we failed. What a wonderful disposition to failure. About a month later, we successfully launched and landed our repaired rocket. And I reminded Evan at that point how we had to go through failure to get there. Failure is only temporary if you keep moving forward. Success is best when it's preceded by adversity. After that experience, I noticed in Evan a desire to build all kinds of things. We were at a friend's house, and in their backyard, they had a play set. Fashioned next to the play set was a pulley, and Evan kept looking at that pulley. And sure enough, when we got home, he went straight to work. He cut 2 ovals out of construction paper, taped them together, and said, Dad, I made a pulley. Great. Let's see if it worked. It didn't. It didn't even come close to working. We spent the rest of the day iterating his designs until we had a functioning pulley. But there were no tears. Failure didn't stop him. Instead, Evan's budding resilience helped him persevere. Resilience isn't something you learn in a book. It doesn't come in an aha moment. It grows with each challenge we overcome. Like Sarah's dad, I'm going to have to revisit this lesson week after week because resilience is a journey. Celebrate your failures along the way. And if you see a child defeated by failure, tell them Sarah's story. And if this speech ages well, tell them about my son, Evan. Madam Contest Chair.
Thank you, Jerry. Can we have 1 minute of silence while the judges mark their ballots? One minute is complete. Contestant 2, Roseanne Hamilton. Please unmute yourself and spell your first name to check audio and video.
Yes, Roseanne, Rosann.
Thank you, Roseanne. Can you please pin the timer?
I'm trying to do that.
And judges, please pin the contestant.
Okay.
You ready?
Yes.
Contestant 2, Roseanne Hamilton. With her speech, "You are not dead yet. Pick up your bed and walk." You are not dead yet. Pick up your bed and walk. Roseanne Hamilton.
Life can happen like that, alternating between darkness and light and back again. If you're lucky, you will live long enough to realize that sometimes life is both wonderful and horrible all at the same time. Contest chair, judges, fellow Toastmasters, and guests. There I was, under the sheet, eyes closed, listless, as the gurney I was on moved towards the morgue. There's an undeniable silence that surrounds the morgue. It's as if everyone and everything acknowledges its power with sheer somberness. And even as I was hidden away from the world under my sheet, I still sensed that silence. As the cool darkness penetrated and surrounded me, interrupted by the occasional fluorescent lamps, as we change from light to darkness, from day to night, from hopefulness to hopelessness. And I even sensed the change in my transporters as their effervescent chatter diminished until it dissolved into complete silence. Suddenly, we were flooded by a flurry of activities in life, and I knew we had passed the morgue. But despite the familiar sound of the hospital and the easy exchange between my nurses and transporters, it mattered not, even though it gave evidence that I was still alive. I knew they had brought me here to die. And that is the cry I made that night as I tried to enlist my mother in my very own VIP pity party. This was the third hospital that I've been in. The first two sent me home to die. This was my last shot, a literal coin toss of whether I would live or die. My mother knew I was dying, so I know that she would come to my own pity party. So I open up my invitation with, "Mama, they sent me here to die." Expecting the empathetic response that only a mother could give, I snapped to attention as she responded, "Little girl, little girl." She's never called me little girl, but it was not that she said it, but it was how she said it. Sometimes we need someone to remind us of who we are, that no matter how old we get or where we've been or how much money we've made, we are not the be all that ends all. "Little girl," my mother said, "do you think this is the first time a hospital has sent you home to die? You are not dead yet. Pick up your bed and walk." I gave her the little girl because this is my mother. But pick up your bed and walk? Who did she think she was? Jesus? But I knew what she meant. I get the point. Too often we are told that we make our bed, so we need to lay in it. Or sometimes we get so down with depression, we can't get out of it. But as my mother said, "Little girl, I found something out about myself that day." When I was 9 months old, I was sent home to die. My body was listless. My system was shutting down, and my mom was told to bury me. But with sheer determination and will, she heard of a person from a friend whose brother's cousin's wife knew of a lady in the country who might be able to help. And in a time when very little car exists, she went to a place where no car could go. only to save her baby's life, my life. So, did I deserve to die? If my mother did not give up on me, I would not give up on me. So I found out, I realized that day that no matter what that hospital said, whether they can extend my life or not, I knew I was going to die, but it was not going to be in that minute. And it was definitely not going to be in that second. Contest chair, judges, fellow Toastmasters, and guests, I don't know your journey. I can't tell your story, but I can only stand here today, 5 years later, to tell you that no matter how bad or horrible life gets, you will not die. You are not dead yet. Pick up your bed and walk. Thank you.
Thank you. Can we have 1 minute of silence, please, while the judges mark their ballots? One minute is complete. Contestant 3, Milhana Anver. Please unmute yourself and spell your first name to check audio and video.
Milhana. Milhana.
Thank you, Milhana. Can you please pin the timer?
Yes.
And judges, please pin the contestant.
Okay.
Contestant 3, Milhana Anver, with her speech, "Always Be My Valentine." Always be my Valentine. Milhana Anver.
This is a worthless plastic rose which Mr. Kumar down street was trying to sell for many years. Nobody would even bother to buy it. How did it end up in my possession? Madam Contest Master and my beautiful dear roses, 14th of February 2030, I woke up with the intention not to fight with my husband. My husband is a man of his own terms. He completely disregards all the wonderful occasions which I mark with 100% expectations. Don't we all have our expectations and standards? Before he made his grand entrance into our living room, I arranged a few paper cutouts of the Valentine's Day offers on his seat. I switched on the TV to the shopping channel, podcasting all the gifts for her items, especially my favorite, buy one, get one free. As he walked in, he took a long pause, just like the ones that we Toastmasters take upon seeing a confused table topic. For a minute there, I thought, yes, he got the hint. When he looked into my eyes and said, "Baby, why is this place a mess? What is this nonsense on TV? Are you all right?" I dashed the teacup right next to him and replied, "I am all right." What is wrong with you? Are you deaf, dumb, blind? Can't you see anything around you? Don't you know what day it is? He completely ignored my feelings and walked away. Oh my God, how can he be so senseless, clueless, passionless? The entire day, I was furious. My 12-year-old daughter approached me to help her with her homework. What? Go away. I don't want to talk with anybody. Haven't we all been there, taking our anger on the wrong person? Lucky me, my daughter is a smart kid. She knew her mother is now a ticking time bomb, a bomb that needs to be diffused. She rang my husband and asked, Daddy, is it some special day today? Well, my love, it's Valentine's Day. See, he knew. If your mother is acting crazy, ignore her. Daddy, please do something. The clock is ticking. All right, I will take her out for dinner. In the night, he came home empty-handed, no gift. We went out for dinner. I could not enjoy the night out. All I wanted was a gift to make me feel my self-worth, a gift to convince me that I did not get married to the wrong man. But that gift never came. As we reached home, my daughter came to me for her good night hug, and I yelled at her. With tears rolling down her face, she went and pleaded near my husband. Daddy, please get mommy a present, at least from Uncle Kumar's shop. A few minutes later, he handed me this brown paper bag. Oh, it was this worthless plastic rose which Mr. Kumar could not sell for so many years, and a lollipop. I dashed everything on the floor and left. Next day morning, my cousin Ruby called, complaining over the gift she received. She said, I hate what my husband gave me for Valentine, a tiny diamond pendant. This woman is ungrateful for a diamond pendant? I dashed the phone in disgust. Within few seconds, the phone rang again. Guess who? My husband. Oh, the nerve of this guy to be calling me after what he did the night before. He said, baby, there's a package in my study desk. I need it immediately. Don't see what is inside. It's highly confidential. Don't see what is inside. These words awakened the Sherlock Holmes in me. I rushed to the study desk, grabbed open the package, and there was this. What? Oh my God, for another woman? Before I could explode, I looked again and there was a note that read, to the most beautiful flower, Milhana. It is not the size of the gift that matters, but the size of the heart that gives it. A quote by Eileen Elas Freeman. It also said, you will always be my Valentine. Later, I found out that he got me this watch weeks back, and he was just toying me around. He wanted me to be surprised. My dear, beautiful audience, sometimes we expect so much from people that we often end up disappointed. Maybe we want more than what they can offer, or maybe we think they will know us better. Sometimes we expect something from the wrong person. Would you want to be disappointed, or would you want to be pleasantly surprised? I realized that no relationship is ever so perfect. Of course, we fight like Tom and Jerry all the time. But once in a while, He does surprise me, which sweeps me off my feet. Turn to your partner and say, "You will always be my Valentine." Over to you, Madam Contest Master.
Thank you. 1 minute of silence, please, while the judges mark their ballot. One minute is complete. Next, contestant 4, Deborah Hennig. Please unmute yourself and spell your first name to check audio and video.
Deborah, D-E-B-R-A.
Thank you, Deborah. Can you please pin the timer? And judges, please pin the contestant. Contestant 4, Deborah Hennig, speech title, with her speech, The Big Catch. The Big Catch, Deborah Hennig.
When I met Jim, we seemed perfect for each other, except for one big catch. Jim loves to fish. Jim lives to fish. But me, I don't even like to eat fish. Contest chair and friends. Did you ever hide your true feelings to avoid hurting someone? I did. I wasn't honest with Jim. You see, every weekend, Jim would get up at 3 a.m. and be on his boat by sunrise. After fishing all day, he'd come home smelling like bait. Fish scales flaked off him like snow. Does that sound attractive? It was. To my cat, she'd follow every step he took. I pretended to be pleased while he'd clean, cook, and proudly present his big catch of the day for our dinner. Did I mention I don't even like to eat fish? To avoid hurting Jim's feelings, I'd say, "Oh, honey, fish for dinner again. Doesn't that look delicious?" I was caught in my own net of deception, not saying what I truly felt. What if he found out I was faking a fondness for fish? I needed expert advice, so I consulted the internet. How do I tell my boyfriend I don't get his fixation on fish, fish, fish? Oh, Frank from the fishing forum posted. Start with the truth. Fishing is fun. If you don't get why, I'll teach you. Then you can talk honestly with him. Talk honestly? I'd been dropping hints. Look, hon, a pizza coupon. I'd stick it on the fridge where he couldn't miss it. Okay, maybe Frank is right. I'm not being honest enough, but do I need to catch a fish to share my true feelings about it? Maybe. So the next weekend, when Jim left for his boat, I met Frank at the marina for a fishing lesson. We boarded a big fishing charter boat with the name Real Connections. Cute. It's called a party boat because spending 6 hours on a boat that smells like bait in the hot sun with 90 not so socially distant fishermen who smell like bait in the hot sun, well, who wouldn't call that a party? I stood on the bow of the boat, practicing casting while Frank shared his fishing philosophies. Cast your line straight and true. Your big catch is waiting for you. Sounds good, right? Well, after 2 long hours, my big catch was someone's hat who was standing behind me on the other side of the boat. Finally, I managed to cast my line so far I couldn't see where it landed. Suddenly, my rod tensed up. I have a fish on the line. I have a fish on the line. It's a big one and takes all of my strength as I slowly reel it in. While I was pulling in my prize, no one noticed a very large man fishing nearby in a little orange dinghy. The more I reeled in my catch, the closer he got to our big boat. When he yelled, "Let me go," we realized my line had hooked his anchor and I was reeling him in. Frank hands me a knife and says, "That guy's anchor is like your truth. The longer you wait to release it, the more upset he gets. Better cut your line." Well, even though I let him go, I won the party boat prize for the big catch of the day. I had fun. I smelled like bait and I got some sun, but I went home without a fish. That night, I took Frank's advice. I talked honestly to Jim about what I'd been truly feeling. I said, "I get it. Fishing is fun, but sometimes it feels like you prefer fish over me." Jim just smiled and said, "Honey, you're my big catch. I can release the fish. I only bring them home for you." Then he grabbed that coupon and said, "Let's get pizza and talk." From that moment on, we were hooked on each other. Frank helped me learn a big lesson. To make a relationship last, put honesty in it first. Sharing your true feelings builds real connections. And releasing your truth will still win you the prize. Is someone in your life drifting away because you're hiding your true feelings to avoid hurting theirs? Try the best tool in your tackle box, truth, and reel them in, not physically. Be frank. Talk honestly. Choose your words from your feelings and facts. Then speak your truth and be the big catch. Contest chair.
Thank you. Can we have 1 minute of silence while the judges mark their ballot?
I don't feel that way. No, I don't think so.
1 minute has elapsed. Contestant 5, Chad Welsh. Please unmute yourself and spell your first name to check audio and video.
Yes, first name is Chad, C-H-A-D.
Thank you, Chad. Can you please pin the timer?
The timer is pinned.
Judges, please pin the contestant. Contestant 5, Chad Welsh. With his speech, "You gotta find your shoes." You gotta find your shoes, Chad Welsh.
So let me ask you, how would you handle it if someone stole something from you when you needed it the most? How would that affect your performance? What kind of emotions would you struggle with? What would your attitude be like? And truthfully, would you even bother wanting to show up at all? Well, all of those questions and more had to be answered by Mr. Jim Thorpe. Who was Jim Thorpe? Jim was one of the best athletes to ever lace up his shoes for the USA. Jim played professional football, basketball, and baseball, which is a feat in and of itself, but he's most well known for his endeavors in track and field. And it's the Summer Olympics in 1912 in Stockholm, and Jim Thorpe is getting ready to run some of the biggest races of his life. He's going to run for some gold medals. But see, it's an extra special day because Jim is a proud member of the Fox and Sac Nation, a group of indigenous people who call modern-day Oklahoma home. Jim is the first Native American to ever represent the U.S. in the Olympics. And the morning of the big race, he gets dressed, he gets ready to go, and he can't find his shoes. And see, the funny thing was, Jim and his teammates all locked up their equipment and their shoes the night before. But on the day of the big race, Jim's shoes are missing. Oh, and only Jim's shoes are missing. But it didn't matter because Jim had one job. He had to find his shoes. So Jim looks all over, finally comes across a pair of shoes. Only these shoes he came across, well, they weren't his original pair. As a matter of fact, these shoes he found, they weren't even the same pair of shoes. The left shoe was a completely different kind of shoe than the right. And to make matters worse, Jim found these shoes by having to rummage through a garbage can full of trash. But see, he was running out of time. He could hear the announcer from the stadium calling out, "Final call for the 100, the 200, the 400 meter races, races, races." Jim had to get to the stadium. So he takes the shoe, cleans it off the best that he can, puts it on, ties it up. Yeah, it fits. He puts on the other shoe, ties it up. Oh, the shoe is too big. As a matter of fact, he can't even keep his foot in the shoe. So what is he going to do? Well, Jim is a resourceful fellow, and he does the only thing left he can do. See, he had an extra pair of socks. So on the foot where the shoe was too big, he put on those socks, put on the shoe, tied it up. It was still a little big, but he gets to the stadium. He gets checked in. Everyone's asking him, "Jim, where have you been? You almost missed your races." To which Jim just smiles and nods because he knew first he had to find his shoes. So Jim gets in line with the rest of the Olympic runners as the Olympic official stands there, starter gun in hand, and yells, "On your marks, get set, go!" And Jim and the rest of the runners, whoosh, are off and running. So, Madam Contest Master, fellow Toastmasters, judges, and guests, I came away inspired by Jim Thorpe. Why? Because it made me think, what kind of attitude would I have the next time I faced a difficult hurdle in my life? What about you? See, I believe that no matter what it is you may be facing today, no matter what it is you may be suffering from, you can overcome it. But first, you just have to find your shoes. And see, those shoes to you can symbolize whatever it is in your life you're passionate about that you want to see made better. Maybe you've always dreamed of starting your own business, but you've been afraid, or maybe you started one in the past and it failed. Or maybe relationships are something that you're passionate about, but you've had some go sour this year, some personal or business or family relationships. You know what? Those things are okay, because you got to get up, you got to find your shoes, and you got to do all you can to get that business off the ground. And you got to do everything possible to live at peace with those people in those relationships, or have the courage to walk away. And I know, I can just hear some of you right now saying, but Chad, these shoes, I mean, they're not even my original pair. You know what? That's okay, because you got to get up, you got to find your shoes, and you got to go run that race. You may say, but Chad, these shoes, well, they stink and they're full of garbage. That's okay, because you got to get up, you got to find your shoes, and you got to go run that race. You may say, but Chad, these shoes, they don't fit right, and it may cause me to stumble, fall, or fail. That's okay, because you got to get up, you got to find your shoes, and you got to go run that race. No matter how hard and difficult life circumstances may be, don't ever let them prevent you from running the race of your life. Now, be like Jim Thorpe. See, I believe someone stole Jim's shoes that day because they wanted to make it a sad and disappointing day for him at the Olympics, and they succeeded. Well, they didn't succeed in doing that to Jim Thorpe, though. Now, see, Jim had trained too long. He had sacrificed too much to let himself down, to let down the country that he loved, and he especially wasn't going to let down his proud Sac and Fox Nation people, who, like the rest of us Native Americans, know the sting and the heartbreak of having something stolen from us and never rightfully returned. Now, that day at the Stockholm Games in 1912, Jim Thorpe got up, found his shoes, and he competed against the world's best athletes they had to offer, in shoes that weren't his, in shoes that didn't fit right, in shoes that weren't even the same pair, and in shoes he found in a garbage can. And that brother came back to the US of A with not one, but 2 gold medals. Now, Jim didn't win every race he had that day, but it didn't matter, because the important thing was he got up and he competed. And look, I know 2020 wasn't a banner year for most of us. It was filled with a lot of disappointment, destruction, and death. But I have good news. And that good news is, if you can see and hear me today, that means you are still living, you're still moving, and you're still breathing. And I believe all of us have some great things left in our lives still to accomplish. So what do you say? This day and this year and every day and year after, let's go run some races. But first, all you got to do is find your shoes. Madam Contest Master.
Thank you. 1 minute of silence while the judges mark their ballots. One minute is complete. Contestant 6, Jacinta Fontanelle. Please unmute yourself and spell your first name to check audio and video.
Jacinta, Jacinta, Jacinta.
Thank you, Jacinta. Can you please pin the timer?
That has been pinned.
Judges, please pin the contestant. Contestant 6, Jacinta Fontanelle. with her speech, Self-Care in a Nutshell. Self-Care in a Nutshell, Jacinta Fontanelle.
Ever gotten an idea that keeps resounding in your head? Madam Contest Master, fellow Toastmasters guest, this was the case for the world's self-care a few years ago. The idea was not new. For my self-care journey started many years ago as a young nurse, striving to navigate the exciting and absorbing task of becoming a professional caregiver. Self-care has become increasingly urgent over the past year or so during this historic pandemic. The phrase self-care in a nutshell naturally led me on a journey with the coconut featuring right there in my head. For the coconut is very much part of my heritage. And it is a symbolic fruit in my country of St. Lucia. I'm going to use the illustration of the coconut as I describe my journey with self-care, summarizing it with the word nutshell. Using nutshell as an acronym, I'm going to walk you through the process, my process of achieving self-care. The nut, the inner core of the coconut, the inner nourishing me. N for nurturing, cherishing and cultivating me, my strengths, my gifts. We have a saying in St. Lucia that if you have coconuts, you can never go hungry or thirsty. When I travel to St. Lucia, I feel truly nourished when I drink my first freshly picked coconut. U for understanding, knowing and accepting who I am. The coconut has many layers, each useful in different ways. To truly impact my self-care, I need to understand the many hats I wear as a Toastmaster, but also in my life. T for teaching, training and practicing my skills. In St. Lucia, we could continue to learn the versatility of the coconut. And as I learn, I better understand my value, not only to myself, but to others. The shell, the outer covering of the coconut, is the part that protects the inner core as well as interacting with the outside. S for sharing, giving and getting involved in life. The coconut tree has multiple uses. I grew up seeing the coconut used for fuel, for food, for medicine, and much, much more. I share my skills and gifts with others in a variety of ways. H for helping, serving and improving others. The coconut milk and oil are two products from the coconut used around the world for nutrition and skincare, respectively. As I serve, my goal is to empower and build another. E for encouraging, inspiring, and reassuring. The coconut has received more than its share of negative publicity over the years. Yet it has remained a local gem of a crop. Despite adversity, I can continue to inspire determination and perseverance in others. L for listening, hearing and paying attention. The experience with the coconut reminds me to take the time to listen to those with less power or a weaker voice. As I listen and pay attention, I understand, and that changes my behavior. L for loving, caring, and being considerate, being kind. Many who live in the parts of the world where the coconut is not native have no idea the adverse effect it had on the lives of people in countries like St. Lucia. My words, my actions matter, and I need to err on the side of kindness. The coconut palm is often called the tree of life. I need to continually address my self-care because it affects every aspect of my life, not just my interactions with others, but my interactions with the world around me. Self-care in a nutshell helps me stay mindful that as I nurture, understand, and train myself, I am better able to share, help, encourage, listen, and love others. Madam Contest Master, fellow Toastmasters, and guests, I urge you to find your nutshell and practice self-care. Madam Toastmaster.
Thank you. Can we have 1 minute of silence for the judges to mark their ballots? One minute has elapsed. Contestant 7, Herman Nerona. Herman, please unmute yourself and spell your first name to check audio and video.
Herman, Herman.
Thank you, Herman. Can you please pin the timer? Judges?
Yes, I can.
Judges, please pin the contestant. Contestant 7, Herman Nerona, with his speech, Ting. Ting, Herman Nerona.
On my 15th birthday, back home in India, Dad gave me a special gift. His blue violin. The next day at school, it was time to impress the love of my life, Priya. I liked it very much, especially her smile, as mysterious as Mona Lisa's. When I saw her, I sang, "Roses are red, my love. Violins are blue." "Stop," she said. "Violets are blue. Violets, not violins. Your blue violin is weird, just like you." My heart broke. Contest chair and anyone whose heart has ever broken. How do you mend a broken heart? I ran home. Dad, because of your blue violin, Priya called me weird. Thanks, Dad. He said, son, you're not alone. Your mom calls me weird too. Then he said, this violin can make any heart sing, and I'll teach you how. And he made me practice all the time. On the day of school recital, I took the stage. Oh, I was ready to bring the house down. I started a beautiful melody. I saw Priya smile. Oh yeah, baby. Then ding! A broken string. Oh no. Everyone was laughing. Even Priya. How would you feel? What would you do? I ran home. Dad! He said, son, at least you made Priya laugh. No wonder my mom calls him weird. But I'll never forget what he said next. Forget the broken string. It's just a broken string. And play on, my son, play on. Now, did I marry my Mona Lisa? Heck no. She did not appreciate all of this goodness. Her loss. But I've treasured my dad's words and his blue violin. Since then, more strings have broken on this violin and in my life. Right after college, ting! A broken string. After a massive heart attack, my music teacher, my mentor, my dad, who do I run to now? Who will make me practice now? Should I give up my music now? Then Dad's words echoed in my heart. Play on, my son, play on. And because I played on, I came to America to study music. And when I met my wife, no, I didn't take a blue violin. I took a red rose. I also met my next music teacher, Ron Levine. As a Grammy-winning violinist, Ron was rich, famous, and an amazing violin teacher. Until, ting! A broken string. Multiple sclerosis. This deadly disease blurred Ron's vision, weakened his hands, and confined him to a wheelchair. Ron could barely hold the violin, let alone play one. He had every reason to give up music. Last winter, I volunteered at Mercy Hospital. I heard soothing music echo through the hallways. That was Ron. I asked Ron, what makes you play on? He said, sometimes we have to play on for others. 2 weeks later, I saw a lady with tears in her eyes hug Ron and say, for 2 months, I have been coming here for chemo. For the first time, because of your music, I'm at peace. Ron turned to me and said, that is bigger than winning any Grammy. That made my heart sing. Friends, life comes with many lessons, like this blue violin. A string can ting at any time. You'll have pain, loss, and hurt. Don't let a broken string define your life. The best advice I can give you is what I got from my dad. Forget the broken string and play on. Play on. Contest chair.
Thank you. Can we have silence until the judges and ballot counters and timers leave the room? Kathleen, are the judges all out of the room?
We still have one judge left in the room, judge number 8. Please return to the judges breakout room. Madam Contest Master, all judges, timers, and ballot counters are now in the breakout room.
Thank you kindly, ma'am. Now, everyone, if you'd like, you can turn on your cameras, but let's have a round of applause. We have great speaking skills, such inspiration. They gave us a real treat tonight. So let's have a big round of applause for everybody. Now we want to get to know our contestants a little bit better. So we're going to do short interviews with each of them in the order that they came up to speak. So Jerry Stevens, please unmute yourself and let us know what club you're representing this evening.
Hello, I'm representing Frederick Toastmasters Club 1082.
Okay, under notable accomplishments in your profile, you said as VPM of your club, you grew membership by 141%, and that was 15 new members. So I gotta ask, what's your secret?
Well, prior to being a stay-at-home dad, my role was in the vicinity of sales. And I've treated the VPM role very much as a sales position. Someone comes into our club to visit, there's a drip campaign that goes, someone asks a question about our club, inquires. There are pre-drafted emails and communications that have been tweaked along the way that have really proven to be successful.
Well, I might have to recruit you, I'm sorry. All right, and you noted that you're a stay-at-home dad and you enjoy when you can go deep on model rockets, model trains, and astronomy with your son, family, or anyone. So what kind of effect do these activities have on your relationships?
Well, I mean, most pertinent, it's with my son, my sole pupil in this endeavor to learn model rockets and model trains and astronomy. So I think the biggest impact has been in my speech. It's been an opportunity to teach my son on every level, you know, from writing. He's 6 years old now. So this past year during COVID, we took the opportunity to write letters to astronauts, to the Space Shuttle Discovery, and to many other entities of his own interest. So that's the writing piece. And then we'll do math. We'll calculate how fast and how far the rockets went, or we'll dabble in electricity and physics and chemistry with the model trains and other aspects of rocketry.
That's very cool. I want to thank you for your speech tonight, and excellent job.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Our next speaker was Roseanne Hamilton. Roseanne, what club are you representing this evening?
I'm representing the Baltimore VA Toastmasters Club.
In the hobbies and interests section of your profile, you said you like stand-up comedy. Do you like to watch it, or do you do it?
I'm trained in doing it. I have not done it as much as I should. I don't believe I'm as funny as I would like to be, so I'm a little bit hesitant to get out in front of a crowd and do it. But
well, I suppose your next meeting is a great way to get ready. Now, you said your children inspire you. What is it about your darlings that is inspiring?
Well, I have 5 children, and they're all just unique in their own different personalities, and learning and getting to know them, I should say, because every day you get to know them a little bit, and it's just finding out who these human beings are is just such an inspiration to me to have that opportunity. So.
Okay, well, thank you so much, Roseanne. Wonderful job this evening.
Thank you.
Let's see, speaker 3 was Milhana Anver. Milhana, what club are you representing this evening?
I'm representing Phase 2 Advanced Toastmasters Club.
So you like to dance?
Yes.
Do you just dance, or do you do a particular type of dancing?
The moment I listen to any music, I just start dancing.
So you just like to shake it up. Okay. Toastmasters has a campaign called #MyWhy. And your favorite quote was, there's always a reason why. Tell us about your why for Toastmasters.
My why for Toastmasters. Well, I joined Toastmasters by coincidence. I was just trying to help a friend just get the points. I did not know what I was going for. When I became a Toastmaster and when I started attending meetings, I realized that I have finally found the purpose of my life, which I was looking for. I realized that my why was where I found the passion to speaking. And I found my voice. Yeah.
Oh, that's a great answer. Thank you so much for your speech tonight. You did an excellent job.
Thank you so much.
So speaker 4 is Deborah Hennig. Deborah, what club are you representing tonight?
I am a member and president of the Soaring Eagles.
Deborah, you said your favorite quote was, I go to nature to be soothed and healed and to have my senses put in order. And that's a quote by John Burroughs. Why is this your favorite?
Because when I'm out in nature, everything just seems to make more sense. It calms me and gets me focused. In fact, when I was preparing for the contest, I would walk around and hike in the woods and talk about and practice my speech.
Oh, that's great. And one of your interests was hydroponic gardening. So what is that and why do you do it?
I got started a year ago. Because of the pandemic, I ordered something called an aero garden, and it sits on my kitchen table, and I can grow plants in water. So it's filled with water, you put seeds in little holders, and then you just put in plant food. And I had tomato plants, cherry tomato plants like this big that have been going for a whole year now.
Well, when I read your profile, I actually looked it all up and I'm like, this is so cool.
It is. It's addictive too. You buy one and the next thing you know, you have 7 aero gardens sitting in your kitchen.
Well, thank you for your interview and for your speech tonight. Wonderful job.
Thank you.
Our next speaker is Chad Welch. Chad, what club are you representing this evening?
Tonight, I am representing the Patuxent Club 7412 out of Columbia, Maryland.
Chad, I noted that you had a couple of offices in the clubs you belong to. What has participating in club leadership taught you?
I just enjoy the interaction with people and getting people excited about Toastmasters. There are a lot of really good organizations and a lot of really good companies that are out there that people can put their time and interest in. But for me, my opinion is that besides what you feed your spiritual soul with, I don't think there's anything better that can help you than Toastmasters can. And I just like to get people excited about Toastmasters, helping them with their leadership and their public speaking skills, and watch them take off.
No, I think a lot of us can relate to that. One of your interests was learning about your Lakota roots. Can you tell us about that?
Sure. So I am a mixed race. So I am half African-American and half Lakota, Ogallala Lakota. And so my journey in finding more about my roots, sort of like Alex Haley did in the 70s, is really wanting to find out a lot about my Lakota culture. And as Native Americans, we're kind of the forgotten ethnic group in America. You hear a lot about African Americans and Asians and Hispanics, but you don't hear a lot about Native Americans. And we were here first before anyone else was. So I'm excited about digging deeper into my culture, especially learning the language. That's what I've been doing. And it's kind of tough because I don't have anyone here to speak Lakota with me. But I hope at some point to be able to go back to South Dakota for some time and take some classes up there and being able to hang out with my fellow Lakota brothers and sisters for a while.
That sounds fascinating. I want to thank you for this time and for your speech tonight. I enjoyed it very much.
Thank you.
Our next speaker is Jacinta Fontanelle. Jacinta, what club are you representing this evening?
I'm representing GNAT, Greater Newark Area Toastmasters Club.
Oh, I was wondering what that stood for. Under interest, you said that you like to travel. What is your favorite place that you've traveled to?
Well, I have to be very biased and say my favorite place to travel to is St. Lucia, where I actually was born. I have traveled to many different countries, and I still come back to St. Lucia as being one of the most beautiful, calming places to be.
Well, I've been lucky enough to visit, and I have to agree, it's quite beautiful. And I noted in your profile that you became an author in 2019. What did you write about?
Well, I had been writing over a long period of about 30 plus years, and I had a collection of poems and prose, short prose, and that's what I put together with the help of a fellow Toastmaster. It's entitled Contemporary Psalms, 365 Reflections, spanning a period of 30 to 40 years.
Wow, that must be very special to have all those works compiled like that. I want to thank you for chatting with me tonight, and thank you for your wonderful speech tonight.
Thank you.
And finally, we have Herman Nerona. What club are you representing, Herman?
Today I'm representing high voltage speakers. I'm also a member of Wilmu Toastmasters.
Herman, since the pandemic, many Toastmasters have had the opportunity to visit clubs around the world. But in your profile, you mentioned that you visited 43 clubs around the world in person. So you're like a man ahead of your time.
That was
Tell us
before
about it.
that was before COVID-19.
Mhm.
After COVID-19, I haven't done a good job visiting other clubs. I used to travel a lot. So any country I go, I would check the local Toastmasters club, ask them if I can visit. And
What'd you learn? What'd you learn?
Every club has the same format of the meeting. And B, little culture is integrated into their meeting. And I learned a lot from everyone.
I went to a club online in Ireland and I was very fascinated by the fact that they took a break for tea. I was like, whoa, that's a good idea.
I've seen
Now,
that. In Middle East, they have a 3-hour meeting and they have a lunch break in between. So
yeah, it was a long meeting. So now you said you're inspired by somebody giving their icebreaker. How does that make you feel when you are witness to that?
because I remember my icebreaker where I stumbled and had the note cards, they fell down and they were not in order. I see every new Toastmaster struggling with their icebreaker. And within 6 months or a year, they are the best speakers. They speak so well. It's a good journey to follow.
I would agree. I want to thank you tonight, Herman, for talking to me and for giving us your speech, Ting.
You're welcome and thank you.
So now let me see, are we ready? Oh, everyone's coming back in. So the interviews are complete. And I'd like to remind you that the results will be delivered on Saturday at the conference. And I hope you manage to make it to the conference. I am now going to give it back to Mr. Benjamin Christ, today's contest chair and the program quality director for District 18. Ben.
All right, thank you, Mary Ann. I first want to thank each contestant for giving an outstanding speech this evening. Well done and good luck. Also, I am very happy to announce there were no disqualifications for time, so very well done again. I want to move on to recognizing some dignitaries in the room. First, I would like to recognize Stacy Ridgely. She is not only our district contest chair, she is also our Area 53 director. And helping her is Diana Curtis, who is our district contest co-chair. As you all know, organizing this sort of event takes a lot of time and effort, and these two did outstandingly well. So good job to the both of you. Also, I want to recognize Marianne Grady, our outstanding International Speech Contest Master. Thank you, Marianne, very well done. I also want to shout out to Kathleen Davis, who is not only our Zoom master, but is also our District 18 Finance Manager. And helping her behind the scenes this evening is Craig Del Fassi. He is also our Zoom master, and he is also our District 18 Webmaster. Someone else I want to call out is Kim Kilduff. She was a ballot counter, and she's also our Division E director. Thank you, Kim. And Shirley Lennis was not only our Sergeant at Arms, but she's also our Area 55 director. One more, Mervyn Bierman. He is a past district director and is our current District 18 chief judge. Lastly, I also want to acknowledge some of the role players for this evening's contest and tell you that we have individuals from California, Georgia, Pennsylvania, Ohio, Virginia, and Delaware that helped us this evening. So my thanks go out to all of you as well. I also want to give a shout out to Nora Wade, who was our timer number 1. Nancy Waring, who was our timer number 2, and Wenfei Zhao, relatively new Toastmaster, who was also serving as a ballot counter. So thank you to each of you. As far as announcements, On Saturday, May 1st is our District 18 Virtual Spring Conference, and the registration window is open now if you've not yet registered. And the registration portal can be found in multiple places on the District 18 website. At the virtual conference, we're going to have a keynote speaker, Brian Olds, guest speakers, Stephen Shaner and Tim Gard, 2 concurrent educational sessions with Sharuk Albana and Chandil Kumar. Plus, you'll hear a word from our international president-elect, Margaret Page. Also at the conference, you'll hear the results of all 3 district speech contests, along with raffles, door prizes, and you'll witness a panel discussion with the 3 international director candidates from Region 7. Don't miss it. Register today. And as a reminder, the first place contestant from this evening will move on to the Region 7 quarterfinals. So good luck. I now turn the meeting back over to our Sergeant at Arms, Shirley Lennis, to please close us out. Shirley?
Thank you, Ben. And before I call this contest to a close, I do want to thank all the contestants. I enjoyed the evening. I enjoyed the speeches. I'm sure all our guests did. And just happy that I could be part of this great event. With that, I now bring the contest to a close.